Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for this video today. Recently I made a video about 2022 hotel trends and things that we are expecting to see in trends in hotels in the year ahead. Today I'm going to make a similar video, but this one is the most alarming trends for 2022 at Walt Disney World. And this video is coming from an article I read by Jenna Saxton for the Disney Food blog, which was published on December 14th, 2021. Okay, so Jenna wrote this article about the most alarming trends she sees happening at Walt Disney World in 2022. And there are 5 of them, and I'm going to talk about those in this video. The first one that she mentioned is definitely very obvious to everyone and has definitely been a factor for me, and that is price increases. Disney World has raised the price of everything. They have raised the price of their hotel stays, and along with that, they have not been offering promotions on hotel stays the way that they have in the past. It used to be that Disney always had some kind of hotel promotion going on that everyone could take advantage of. Well, they have hardly had any hotel promotions at all, and even when they do offer a hotel promotion now, it's only for a very limited time, and it's only for very specific groups of people, specifically Florida residents, annual pass holders, and every once in a while they'll have a really short one for Disney Visa card holders. Now, I am a Disney Visa card holder, but I haven't been able to take advantage of them because it's like 12 days in December or something like that. Price increases on hotels are a real problem because your hotel is almost always going to be your biggest expense when you take a vacation to Walt Disney World. The other thing that we're seeing price increases on is tickets and everything that goes along with the theme park experience. There's no more free Fast Pass. Now, if you want to skip the line, you have to pay for Disney Genie Plus or the individual Lightning Lane attractions or both. Ticket prices themselves increase on an annual basis at Walt Disney World almost always. And then there's things like increased extra charge experiences like after hours events and things like that. First of all, they're an additional expense just in general, but the prices for those events are also increasing. And then you're also seeing an increase in the prices of food. Theme park food is already really expensive, and they keep increasing the prices of food in the theme parks. So price increases is a very alarming trend at Walt Disney World, and I definitely see this as a problem because it's definitely pricing me out and making it difficult, if not impossible, for me to have the Walt Disney World experience that I want to have. I either have to sacrifice where I want to stay or change to a lesser place to stay, or I have to make my trip shorter, or something's got to give somewhere, or I can't afford to go at all. And that's really unfortunate because a lot of people are losing out on the experience of what Walt Disney World could really be because of prices. Okay, the second alarming trend for 2022 at Walt Disney World is prefix menus. Now, what do we mean by this? Okay, so a prefix menu is a specific menu that a restaurant will have instead of having like a full menu. So you probably still have a few choices, but like it'll be like, okay, you get an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert, and there's 3 choices for appetizer, 4 choices for main course, and 4 choices for dessert. So you only get to choose from those things that are listed. You can mix and match them, but that's all the choices you have, and it's one price, a prefix, fixed price is what that means. So it's $60 for an adult or whatever. So you can eat at this restaurant at Walt Disney World, but it's going to be $60 for an adult and $40 for a kid or whatever it is. And these are the only choices you have to eat with. I've seen other articles where they're saying, is this the new Disney dining plan? It's nothing like the Disney dining plan. I mean, the way the Disney dining plan worked was you paid for meals in general ahead of time. And the advantage of the Disney dining plan was that you were paying for everything ahead of time before you went. So then, you had so many credits. You had so many quick service meals available to you, so many table service meals available to you, and so many snacks. And it wasn't a dollar amount, it was a meal quantity. and it made it very convenient and easy for people to plan and pay for their vacations ahead of time. Now, I made a video after our last Walt Disney World trip, which I will link up here, where I talked about that for our family. I did the math, and the Disney World dining plan is not cost effective for us. That it's actually less expensive for us to just pay for our meals out of pocket. But that may not be true for everyone. But the Disney dining plan disappeared when the parks closed for the pandemic, and they have not brought it back. And so some people are wondering if going with these prefix meals is their way of kind of replacing that. I don't see that, because it's apples and oranges. It's not you're not paying for anything ahead of time. But I guess I can see it to one degree in that it helps you better plan exactly how much your meals are going to cost. Because if you eat at one of these prefix restaurants, my meal is going to be exactly this much, plus tax and tip. Whereas if you don't know what you're going to eat, you don't really know how much it's going to cost ahead of time, I guess. But you're not paying for anything ahead of time, so it loses the convenience factor for me. I think it's more that this is probably more related to the supply and staffing shortages that every hospitality place is struggling with right now. I think it's that we can't get as many different kinds of food as we want, so we're only going to have these ones that we know we can get, and these are the only choices you're going to have. And also, it makes it less complicated for the staff. If they only have to make these 10 things instead of these 50 things, that's less things that they have to learn how to make. That's less things that they have to deal with in the kitchen and things like that. So I think it's probably more related to that. I also think it's another way for Disney to make more money, because they, if they have this flat thing, if you eat here, you're going to be paying this. And you can't go in there and save money by only getting a salad or by only getting dessert and a drink or whatever. You have to get this prefix thing. So that's a way that they can guarantee that they're always going to get that amount of money when people eat in that restaurant. Third alarming trend at Walt Disney World in 2022 is fewer Walt Disney World Resort perks. Holy moly, is this one true. There's no more Magical Express, which was the free bus transportation between the airport and your Disney resort. There is no way around it. Unless you have a friend in Orlando who's willing to pick you up and drive you, there is no longer any free way to get from the airport to Walt Disney World. You're going to be paying for transportation somehow, whether it's the new Mears Connect bus transportation service, which I can tell you for us would have been $96 round trip for our family of 3, a taxi, an Uber, a Lyft, even the upcoming Brightline service if they ever finish building it, which is train, a private car service, or you rent a car. You're going to be paying for something. The aforementioned promotions that I talked about are basically disappeared. Extra magic hours are gone. They don't have that anymore. They have early park entry. Woo, 30 minutes. It's like that makes a real difference. It takes you 30 minutes just to get through the turnstiles, okay? The advantage of being able to book fast passes and reserve dining, 180 days out for dining if you were a Disney World Resort guest, that's gone. 60 days now just for everybody. And being able to book your fast passes 60 days out if you were an on-site guest versus only 30 days out if you weren't, that's gone because there's no more fast pass. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of others that I'm not thinking of. What other benefits of staying at a Walt Disney World Resort can you think of that I didn't just list that are gone now? The only benefits now that I can think of for staying on site, besides the theming, because the theming of the hotels is really cool and nice, is convenience of being able to use the on-site resort transportation. If you didn't rent a car, you wouldn't have to pay for parking anywhere, and you wouldn't have to pay to get around to the parks. Sometimes it takes a long time, but if you know how to use it well, the on-site transportation options are complimentary, and you don't even actually, though, have to be staying at a Walt Disney World Resort to use the on-site transportation. Anybody can ride the buses and the boats and the monorail and the Skyliner. They better not ever charge for that. I hesitate to even say that because I'm scared to death It'll put an idea in Disney's head and they'll start doing it, but let's hope it stays the way it is. I don't think that would ever work for them to start charging for those things, but you can be sure they're probably padding it into the price somewhere to pay for those free transportation options. I really don't feel like the 30 minutes of early entry is really a benefit. Somebody I know who just went to Walt Disney World did run into a problem. They are staying off-site, and they tried to get an individual lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and by the time the park opened, when they could book it because they weren't staying on site, all of the lightning lanes for Rise of the Resistance were gone. They had all been purchased by on-site resort guests. Now, I hate that they're making you do that at 7 a.m. I'm on vacation, okay? Give me a break. I don't want to get up that early. And a lot of people are complaining about this. But that is one advantage of being an on-site resort guest at Walt Disney World, is that you can book your Disney Genie Plus selections, your first one at least, and the individual lightning lane fancy rides attractions, which are the extra cost attractions. There's 2 in each park, ahead of people who are not staying on site. So to me, those are the only advantages that are really left, other than, like being in the Disney bubble and all that. So what do you guys think about this one? This is a big one to me, I think. Okay, 4th most alarming trend at Walt Disney World in 2022, planning is more complicated. Okay, well, I'm just going to say right now, planning for any kind of travel during the pandemic is more complicated for everyone. Any kind of trip you take, and I've talked about this in numerous previous videos, traveling right now is just difficult and challenging and stressful. It's a lot harder than it was before, and Walt Disney World is no exception. But I will say, agreeing with the author of this article, that they've made it like unnecessarily complicated. I mean, even though it's more economical to pay for Disney Genie Plus, even if you buy a couple of individual lightning lane fancy rides attractions, than it is to buy the Express Pass at Universal. One advantage of the Express Pass at Universal is you don't have to think about it. Once you've done it once, you don't ever have to look at your phone again or anything. You can just go ride the ride. And Disney's just making it so you're just like this, looking at your phone all day long. And you can't ever look up. And there's no spontaneity. And you can't just you can. You can still just wander the park and go about your day and whatever. But they kind of are steering people to make them think that they can't do that. That unless you do all of these complicated things, you're not going to have the full experience. That's not true. You can still go to Walt Disney World and enjoy it the way you used to in the past without looking at your phone all day. You can. You might not get on as many rides as somebody else, but you can do that. But can you? The real big roadblocks, I think, that are making planning and just doing a trip to Walt Disney World more complicated are park reservations. I liked park reservations when they were using them to keep park capacity low. But they're not using them for that anymore. They're not keeping park capacity low anymore. Give me a break. They've got as many people in there as they can fit. It's more for them now for staffing. It's more so they can see how many people are coming into a park each day and where are the people going to be and things like that, so they know where to situate their cast members. That's what they're using it for now. So park reservations is a real obstacle for people. I mean, we already talked about Disney Genie Plus. You can use that or not use that. I mean, you can still just use well-established park touring methods to still have a good day getting on rides and stuff in the park. The other area, though, that is a real obstacle for people is dining. If you don't have a dining reservation for a table service restaurant, you're not going to eat at a table service restaurant. And they've made quick service restaurants so complicated because they're basically making everyone use mobile order, with a few exceptions. There's a few places that you can't use mobile order. But they're basically expecting everybody to use mobile order. But the mobile order time slots are so overwhelming to the staff in the quick service restaurants that you will run out of time slots, or the time slot available for the next mobile order pickup window is hours from now. So you can't be thinking about, oh, where are we going to eat lunch at 12? Okay. You have to be thinking about, where are we going to eat lunch at 8 o'clock this morning, or as soon as you walked into the park, and make your mobile order right then if you want to have hope of having a meal at lunchtime. I know this, and so I'm not going to have this problem, because when I go to Walt Disney World, I'm going to know that I need to make my mobile order as soon as I enter the park, and I need to know that I need to make my table service restaurant reservations 60 days before I go. But a lot of people don't know that. So those people are going to have crying, hungry children like I was and my brother was on our first trip to Walt Disney World when I was 9, 10 years old, because everything's going to be crowded. Everything's going to be full. They're going to discover that there's no way for them to get food unless they leave the park, literally. My advice to you on this is, you really got to, if you're going to go to a Disney theme park, you really have to educate yourself. It's a very unique travel experience, but honestly, it's really not that more complicated than like if you're going to travel anywhere. Every type of travel requires advanced research and planning. If you want to have a good travel experience, you should be researching and planning ahead. And I say that in pretty much all my videos, but it's especially important if you're going to Disney. Okay, and then the last one that she mentioned was less bang for your buck. And that kind of goes with the other ones that she said too. And less bang for your buck means you're getting less for the same amount of money. So, and in Disney's case, at Walt Disney World, you're actually spending more money than you were before, and you're getting less for that money. When we went on our trip in 2019, what I was able to get for $5,000, for example, and what I'd be able to get for $5,000 today, well, two things. I don't remember what I spent on my 2019 Disney World trip, but say I spent $5,000. That's probably on the low end, but say I spent $5,000 and I got 7, 8 nights at Pop Century. I didn't use the dining plan, but let's just say that included what I spent on food. I got tickets. I didn't have a rental car, whatever. Okay. But now $5,000, I can't get that anymore. If I spend $5,000 in 2022, I'm not going to be able to get the same stuff I got in 2019. I would have to spend more to get the same stuff I got then. Not only is everything more expensive and there's less choice, and a lot of the free benefits that you used to have in a Walt Disney World vacation if you stayed at a Disney World resort are gone. So you're just getting less for your money. And that is a very alarming trend at Walt Disney World in 2022. What do you guys think of this list? Do you agree that all of these are alarming? And which one of these bothers you the most? I have to say, for me, the fewer Walt Disney World Resort perks is the one that bothers me the most. But the price increases is probably the one that affects me the most, because it makes it less likely for me to be able to have the trip I want or to be able to go at all. So what about you guys? Which one of these bothers you the most, and which one would affect you the most? I'd be curious to hear about that in the comments below. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Have a great day, everyone, and safe travels.